You saw My Blue Heaven here tonight on UPN 9, a comedy about life inside the Witness Protection Program. But I-Team investigator Joe Collum has been looking into the program. He's here to show us that changing a person's identity is a far more serious situation.
Well, Shauna, it's sure no wild and crazy comedy. Witnesses don't join the program because it's funny. They join either to escape prison or avoid a bullet in the head. For federal prosecutors, the result has been a wildly successful assault on the mob. He was supposed to be untouchable, Teflon, John Gotti, king of the mob. Now his kingdom is a 6-by-8-foot cell inside the tightest security prison in America. Gotti, the fallen boss, is testament to the steep decline of the mafia in New York City. Gotti was betrayed by his own right-hand man, Salvatore Gravano, a ruthless killer who saved his own skin by joining the Witness Protection Program.
The Witness Protection Program is probably the single most important tool in combating organized crime.
Prosecutors love it. Defense lawyers hate it.
It stinks to high heaven. It's bribery. But the government can do it, and nobody else can.
Over the past decade, gangsters have been falling all over themselves in a stampede to get into the Witness Protection Program. And for good reason. It could mean new identities and new lives for criminals otherwise headed for prison or maybe even the morgue. But despite its promise, the Witness Protection Program is no heaven.
There's 3 contracts out of my life right now by 3 families, 3 New York families.
This man's testimony has helped convict more than 50 mobsters. A career criminal, he was facing at least 25 years in prison when he accepted the government's invitation to join the Witness Protection Program.
They promised me a new identity. They would promise to move me and my family and change their identity. They made it sound like I was going to, be born again, basically. You know, I mean, this is going to be a new life for you and your family, and if you keep your nose clean better than you, there isn't any.
Mr. X spent 8 years working undercover for the FBI, infiltrating mob operations throughout New York City. But he says by the time he finished testifying for the prosecution, the government had forgotten its promises to him.
When I started, there was 1 U.S. attorney, and in the interim of the 7 years I worked with him, there was a total of 6 other different U.S. attorneys that I dealt with. You don't renegotiate the plea agreement that you made. You just feel it's the government made it, he represented them, and they're going to stand by it. And then when all the smoke clears, they feel, well, you didn't go to jail, you should be happy.
But the U.S. Marshal Service says since its inception in 1971, the program has been extraordinarily successful.
Approximately 6,600 principal witnesses have gone through the program, and if you include their family members, the number exceeds 15,000.
But the program has been criticized for protecting the likes of Michael Burnett, a Brooklyn swindler given new life in return for his testimony against major mobsters. Burnett then committed a long string of crimes while under protection, including a Staten Island contract murder.
You can justify, to me, violating the law, trashing that which is fair, in order to get those so-called bad guys.
The bosses of families don't do the dirty work. They send their little underlings to do it. In order to prosecute the bosses, you need to use the underlings.
Charles Rose is a former federal organized crime prosecutor who put dozens of witnesses into the program.
I hope John Gotti run the family.
Rose defends cutting deals with men like Sammy the Bull Gravano, who did only 3 years in prison before being released and given a new identity last year, despite taking part in 19 murders.
If you take the kind of the calculus and say 1 person who committed 19 murders is responsible for putting 50 people in prison who've committed 100 murders, it really makes sense to use someone like Sam Gravano.
Mr. X is laying low, living anonymously with his family somewhere in America, just trying to keep from being rubbed out by the mob. For him, the Witness Protection Program has been a bust. He says he is not bitter, but he does feel betrayed.
They love you when you're doing it, but after it's done and everybody got their claim to fame, you're just a statistic. They're not your friend. They're not your best friend. They don't care if you come or go. They don't care if you walk outside and get killed.
The U.S. Marshal Service says it's never lost a witness to underworld assassins, but 25 to 30 former witnesses have been murdered after leaving the program and returning to their old neighborhoods, which is not a good idea, Sean.
All right, thanks, Joe. Well, next on UPN 9 News, have you ever wondered what happened to that special person who was your first love all those years ago?
For some people, the curiosity was too
several
tempting.
developments to tell you about tonight. At an emotional press conference, the family, joined by community leaders, renewed their demands for justice. It was also revealed that O.J. Simpson's dream team has entered the case. And tonight, the WB11 News at 10 has learned exclusive new information on just what might have happened the night that Diallo died. Jonathan Deans is live at police headquarters now with all that. Jonathan?
Heidi, emotion uptown while the investigation proceeds here at police headquarters downtown. We have learned the results of preliminary lab results. Now, these lab results tell us that 3 of the officers involved in the shooting, 3 of the officers who opened fire, did hit and kill Diallo, the African immigrant, but one of the officers who fired shots missed entirely. That, according to preliminary lab results. Now, does this have any legal impact on the officers' defense or on their story? According to the folks uptown who remain angry tonight, they say all 4 officers should be arrested.
We all are suffering. We are crying. But my tears will not come down again because I have seen all of you and the whole world are crying with us.
Together, the mother and father of Amadou Diallo spoke of their son, holding several books he was studying, showing how their son, a religious man, came to America to better his life.
He's trying his best to achieve his life successful. Unfortunately, it's ended like this: brutality, gunshot.
Reverend Al Sharpton leading the calls here for the cops who shot the African immigrant to go to jail.
1 week later, these police have still not been arrested or removed from their jobs.
Sharpton announcing lawyers Johnny Cochran and Barry Scheck of O.J. Simpson fame are now on board to help the Diallo family. Former Mayor David Dinkins echoing the outrage here tonight, asking the question that's on a lot of people's minds.
Why could not those police officers have crouched behind a vehicle and demanded that he come out? Why did they have to fire?
We still don't know why, but tonight we do have exclusive information on the actions of the officers the night of the shooting. First, Channel 11 has learned preliminary lab results show 3 of the 4 officers who opened fire actually hit Diallo. Investigators say those cops were officers Sean Carroll and Edward McMillan, who shot 16 times each, and Kenneth Boss, who shot 5 times. But as of now, it appears Officer Richard Murphy may have missed all 4 shots he fired. Investigators tell us they can't link any of the bullets that hit Diallo to Murphy's gun. Second, Channel 11 has obtained an internal police report that indicates where the officers were when they began shooting. According to this report, Officers Carroll and McMillan were right in front of and on the steps of the building. In addition, in earlier pages, it's written, quote, Police Officer McMillan sustained an injury to his lower back when he fell down the steps, and Police Officer Carroll sprained his right knee, left foot, and neck when he fell off the stoop during this incident. Contrary to some media reports, the officers were not in a semicircle firing. According to sources, Boss was crouched over the hood of a parked car when he fired 5 times, and Murphy, the cop who apparently missed each of the 4 shots he fired, Murphy was standing near a tree on the other side of the building. And as we first reported Tuesday night, police are looking at the so-called ricochet theory. That's because at least 3 bullets bounced off the building and whizzed past the officers when they were firing. This map shows where those bullets were found. Is that why the officers thought they were under attack?
Is it possible? Certainly it's possible, but I think until we have a careful analysis by forensic people, by crime scene, by the grand jury, we shouldn't speculate.
Now, when we spoke with lawyers for the officers, they again dismissed the ricochet theory, saying the officers opened fire because they feared their lives were in danger. Meanwhile, memorial service scheduled for tomorrow. We are told the mayor and police commissioner plan on attending that service. The grand jury now expected to begin hearing evidence in the Bronx on Tuesday, as many more protests are scheduled in the days ahead. And we are live outside police headquarters tonight. Jonathan Dienst for the WB11 News at 10. Let's go back to Jim and Kaidi in the studio.
Jonathan, thank you. Earlier today, Diallo's parents visited the place where their son spent one of his last moments alive. It was a heart-wrenching experience for both as they visited the store where Amadou went to work every day. Glenn Thompson has the story.
The parents of Amadou Diallo were greeted by the grieving owner of the store where their slain son worked before being gunned down by cops. The shooting victim's mother and father went into the store for a private meeting with the owners. Diallo's mother was said to be overcome with grief when she saw the spot where her son once prayed.
When she see his son placed in the back, when used to pray there, she fall down and kiss the ground.
This is his prayer rug, so the brother's going to give it to his mother, so she can always remember him, because only by the word of Allah that we keep the freedom and the justice that they did wrong to that young man.
At a shrine to Diallo outside the store, hundreds of passerbys, many of whom knew the innocent shooting victim, took time to sign a memorial book in his honor.
I knew him. My son bought tapes from him. It was like a lamb to slaughter. And I know that he will not die in vain.
In the meantime, at City Hall, members of the council's Black and Latino caucus met with the city's police commissioner to voice their deep concerns over the cops shooting at an unarmed man 41 times.
We tried in our very reserved way, but of course we also are sitting on top of a powder keg here. And I think we got across to him that things must change.
Safer defended himself against criticism that he left for a police conference in Los Angeles after the shooting last week. Despite massive protests since, he says the situation was under control. The commissioner promised council members he'll work with them for change, including giving their input in sensitivity training at the police academy.
They expressed a number of concerns about communication, about training, about communication between the police commissioner and the council, all of which I acknowledged and agreed that I would work with them to improve.
In the meantime, the mayor continues to defend the sensitivity training already being given his men and women in blue.
Sometimes in the wake of something like this, people want to throw out all the good in order to create a different kind of impression. There's been a tremendous amount of training like this that's been done over the last 2 years, more than ever before, and there'll be more.
And so as the city council tries to turn up the heat on the Giuliani administration calling for change in the police department, for now at least the mayor appears to be sticking to his guns.
The headphone. Turn it up. Yo, you hear me? Yeah. What up, Tony? What's up, Don? All the way up. Let's get this paper together. That's all it goes.
Motherfucker, what's up, y'all? Do it, nigga.
You know how I like
about to go on some real woo shit.
WTC.
That's right, you know what I mean?
Ghost of bullshit hook for y'all niggas. Check it out.
The runners in the stash, we bout the cash. We got females that got it like that. The golden childs that own the crowd. See niggas in the place that fit my style. Well, I'm a singer, dancer, we bulletproof brothers. Wu-Tang got the answer. Cause if I had a chance to do it again, I will still keep the heat in my pants up. Y'all be nice to the crackheads. Everybody listen up. I shot one of my bitches. The whole ain't tricking up. Word like the big screen dawn. Tapping dust bones out with star writers like I fuck Celine Dion. Stuck everything that's the God's on is beyond. We airing niggas out. That's the type shit that we on. Official Wu-Tang headbanger. Flood your space with big waves like it did in Sri Lanka.
I drink heavy gallons of crew. Play the big ball. Niggas got squid on the grill. Selling kids clock. I'm that Snows. Yo, the guest on with the vest post. Yellow suede one. Matching hat with the gray gun. Niggas be rhyming for nothing. Then my team pull up, we all roll down. Y'all broke niggas stay front. Lines come digital, stupid. Plus ain't got no jury on. Bet I'm still live and I'm cooping. Two of my silverbacks run through a pack of your wolves. Run on you yak. You sipping cognac, blue lax, dude. Knowing what these cracks do.
Yo, Dirk McGirt, solid tone Smith with 6 shots. Lick shots, leave your head like a Shalimar with 6 dots. Brooklyn Zoo. Yeah. Brooklyn Zoo. Yeah. It's the return to Bin Laden. Grab your armor, smash pretty boy niggas, crush they karma, eat bones with alligators, roll deep with my entourage. My whole crew's fresh out the bars, Diggler, aka the cab driver. Drop them off in the middle of fire, Dirty Allen. Drag bodies to the murder land, knock niggas out, hurting my hand.
I remember in the elevator we was playing corners. Now we play the corners and the cops are staying on us. Statins where the roar is, where the court system's running out of warrants, where TNT be jumping out the Tory. For real, I can't call it. You see, I love Lucy cause she glorious. Exactly like that 10304 is. Snitch nigga, swallow your tongue. Already know the Allen I'm from, and y'all don't want no problem with them.
We got a history full of lightning victories, conceptual breakthrough, it ain't no mystery. Long vision from giants in every way, rap czars, magnificent flows for every day. From the east to the Ville, from the west to the hills, incredible rhymes with courage and skills. From rap packs, the smallest crews were enormous. We hit them fast with an effortless performance. MCs start fleeing in flocks, especially those that's more sensitive to heat and shock. We grinding down to the bone. My name grounded in stone. I'm Mr. Foulness. We lounging with chrome. Mr. Foulness. We lounging his home. Hit the housing on Rome. Shining like 100,000 in stones. Move mountains with poems. Got a Jones for De Niro. 160 my song. We throwing elbows. The hoes cling. Show thin. We known kings. Only dime types. With minds right. We chose queen.
Yeah, we wild like rock stars who smash guitars. Yo, son, split his face with the toast. He ain't ghost. It's no joke. I ain't cold. Rifle with the scope. One tote. Brain float. Shot to the throat before the smoke hit. Witness the killing, chilling crime scene, body on the block, eyes open from the shock of being popped in the neck. Yet he's still hella lit, cigarette between his fingers. Danger when you stepping in the chamber with the master. Disaster, gotta blast ya, cause I have to.
The Rat Pack is back from the island of Stack. Yeah, you cursed us, cause we worship the gat. The first one to snap, drunk off the smear or blow the bouncer's ear off. Let him floss, he the boss, handcuffed to the turntables like Wizard Theodore. See it's pure, let it rain, curly ounces. Bang him with the thing that hang from the trousers. You don't want no drama, I'm flaming fast. That nigga jumped up and did the Damon dash.
Ripped off or what? What's the story with these gas prices? $2 a gallon? But tonight we have news you can really use. Where to find the cheapest gas. We have team coverage on tonight's lead story, beginning with Reg Wells live in Secaucus. Reg?
Well, Brenda, this is the weekend, a time many people try to get out of town, but if you do so, you're going to pay more for gasoline. And what you pay for gas oftentimes depends on where you buy it. A lot of motorists are beginning to feel they're being taken for a ride. Gasoline prices have skyrocketed since the first of the year. But even in a 50-mile radius, there are widely fluctuating prices. We found a difference of nearly 75 cents a gallon. But whatever the price, most drivers say it's
too high. It's too much.
On the Palisades Parkway in New Jersey, this was the price of gasoline. Less than 5 miles away in New City, New York, high test was a staggering $2.10 a gallon.
We go down 304 into Jersey at a Shell station. We pick up our gas for 14 cents a gallon cheaper.
A New Jersey Division of Energy survey shows the average price of regular gas has risen 14 cents a gallon since February, which is a 12.5% increase. And the average price for regular is about $1.23 a gallon for regular. Why is this happening? Experts say it was not the cold winter or dwindling supplies, but rather...
Profit is the name of the game. That's the American system. They found that they could raise prices, and one followed the other. And apparently they all have the same reaction, and that's the only answer to it.
We did a survey of our own in search of low-priced gas. Our first stop, Morris Avenue in Union. We found BP gasoline at $1.17 a gallon. We then rode down Route 1 in South Brunswick. Gas at the quick fill was also $1.17. On Route 46 in Ridgefield near the George Washington Bridge, Gulf gasoline was selling at $1.14 for regular, Sunoco at $1.15, and Merit gas at $1.18. But even at these prices, oil company profits continue to roll in.
And the oil companies will ride it as far as they can.
The New Jersey Board of Public Utilities will investigate the price increases. In Washington, the Senate Finance Committee will open hearings on a proposal to roll back recent gasoline tax hikes. Meanwhile, drivers are not happy.
I think it's a shame. I think that we're just trying to beat the economy, and we've been taken advantage of, and we have no choice. You got to buy gas, you got to ride, you got to get on the train, so one way or the other, they've got you.
Well, as high as gas prices are in the state of New Jersey, they are oftentimes higher in New York. Laverne Atkinson picks up the story from there. Laverne.
Well, Reg, a New York City Consumer Affairs report shows that gas rose 5% in May. Drivers here in New York are sick and tired of the high cost of gas.
I should be in Jersey buying gas today.
Watch what happens to gas prices when we cross the George Washington Bridge into New York. Our first stop was the Sunoco station in Morris Heights, West Bronx, just off the Cross Bronx Expressway. Full-service regular gas is $1.57. If you pump it yourself, $1.45. What do you think of gas prices?
No, that's too much money. That's too much money, the price.
Others think there's a reason why gas is more expensive in New York.
You have bad gas in Jersey, so I really don't know.
What do you mean bad gas?
Like watered gas. Like they mix it. They mix the gas.
Who told you that?
Well, a lot of people are saying that in Jersey.
Next, we tried the mobile gas station on 11th Avenue in Midtown. Full-service regular gas, $1.55, 2 cents cheaper than the Sunoco station in the Bronx. Super is $1.65, not good for business.
Business getting slower because prices is going up, and everybody who wants to buy like 5 gallon now you want to buy 3 gallon and 2 gallons.
Next stop, Brooklyn. Flatbush and Tillery, another Sunoco. Regular self-service, $1.39, the cheapest we've seen so far.
This is the cheapest gas station you'll find. If you go up on the other side, towards the Board of Education in Brooklyn, the gas prices are like 47, 57, and 87, all right? And it's ridiculous. And don't look for price changes anytime soon. The gas station owners we talked to say prices could go up anytime. Reporting live from Manhattan.
Memories must have flared up when Barbra Streisand showed up again in one Manhattan neighborhood. The actress is in the Big Apple reshooting a scene from her new movie, The Mirror Has Two Faces. The spring scene was shot on the Upper West Side last winter. The directing diva was not pleased with the results, so back she came. Some residents are not pleased with her return.
For most of the people, you know, it's nice. Because the nighttime when they film, you know, they put some cover in the window. They do many nice things for the neighborhood, for other people.
They've presented the building with a bouquet of flowers and a box of chocolates so that would bring us a little bit closer to providing them with the support that they need while they're here. And we appreciate that.
Some residents apparently tossed eggs at the crew. The tossers apparently missed the targets, and Barbara never even noticed.
Now look at other local headlines making tonight's UPN 9 News front page. A vicious pit bull that ran wild and attacked 3 kids and a woman is now in an East Side shelter. The dog escaped but was later caught by several people in the Bronx neighborhood. It will be tested for rabies. The youngest victim, age 6, was bitten on the chin and required stitches.
A rabies warning tonight for people living in Westchester County. A woman walking her dog in a Bronxville park may have been exposed to a rabid raccoon. County health officials say 2 women found the dead raccoon in the bushes of Scout Field. Doctors later discovered the animal was rabid.
Guess what caused all the chaos on the subways in Midtown Manhattan 2 nights ago? An umbrella. That's right, a discarded umbrella lying on the tracks. When a train pulled into the station at Lexington and 51st, the umbrella got stuck between the 3rd rail and the metal contact shoe. The short circuit sent sparks flying, causing the smoke and the fire.
Crown Heights, Brooklyn. An ambulance is broadsided and flips over while answering a cardiac arrest call. A livery cab apparently ran a red light. 2 EMS workers and a person in the car suffered minor injuries. He's accused of severely beating a neighbor's 4-week-old baby. The judge ruled today that the boy must remain in custody. Defense lawyers say they will argue that the 6-year-old's age makes him incompetent to stand trial on charges of attempted murder. The next step is for lawyers from both sides to come up with a list of psychologists to examine the boy.
A Newark cemetery is paying the price for treating the deceased. Busted a cyber fraud ring run by high school kids. 2 16-year-olds are in custody after ordering $15,000 worth of computers and music equipment illegally. Authorities say the pair got other people's credit card numbers through America Online.
The juveniles retrieved customers' personal information through a hackers program. They were able to portray themselves as representatives of various computer companies. It was their intention to obtain either the customer's password to utilize the system for free or have the individual supply them with their credit card numbers to purchase numerous items.
The police urge parents to watch children closely when they are online.
Tonight's story behind the story raises the question, should New York City cops be chaperoned on overnight trips? Nearly a year ago, some of the city's finest grabbed headlines in Washington with some outrageous behavior. But now, with another trip to our nation's capital right around the corner, city cops won't be on the road alone. They'll have chaperones watching their every move. Last year's police memorial service in Washington, D.C., an annual event that commemorates officers who have died in the line of duty, was memorable, but for the wrong reasons.
To take an event like that and desecrate it, I can't imagine what
what they were thinking or why they were doing this.
Two drunk New York City cops at this Washington hotel stripped naked and slid down a beer-splattered banister as shocked guests looked on. Other officers set off fire alarms that forced over 100 people to evacuate. The shenanigans seriously tarnished the national image of New York's finest.
Morons and nitwits that I'm being polite in terms of the way I feel about this cast of characters.
The top brass wanted no repeat performances, so this year the NYPD will be sending chaperones, a dozen officers and a captain from the inspections division. Their sole mission? To police the police.
I think it's a disgrace. You have to do that.
If they can't police themselves, they shouldn't be our police.
I think it's necessary to send these escorts. I won't call them chaperones. That's like a high school dance.
This is supposed to be with adults, but after last year, you see that some of them are not. Not all of them are kids, but some of them are not. And the ones that aren't are kind of like held back to speak out against it.
What this man is referring to is the blue wall of silence, when cops protect other cops who commit wrongs. To crack that wall, current Police Commissioner Howard Safir issued this department-wide directive spelling out who is responsible for what. All members are strictly prohibited from consuming alcoholic beverages while in uniform. They must conduct themselves in a professional manner at all times, and ranking officers are ordered to report derelictions of duty and will be held strictly accountable.
I don't know that people who are off duty with their family can be, in fact, forced to enforce what the commissioner wants.
Tony Garvey is the president of the Lieutenants Benevolent Association.
Sure, we had a handful of individuals who acted inappropriately and were appropriately disciplined. I don't think you'll see a repeat of that.
And just who's going to pick up the tab for the cop sitters? New York taxpayers.
I think it's a horrible idea. We're spending our money not only to send these people down for a party, they're also going to bring chaperones down. Total waste of city money.
I can't imagine what the expense to the good name of American policing was from that incident that occurred a year ago. Whatever it was, the few thousand that it would cost to send some ranking officers along is offset.
I think it's too bad that it's necessary, but I think it's the commissioner's doing the right thing this year. And if all goes well this year, then certainly next year there will be no need to repeat sending a few chaperones down.
Well, 7 cops quit or were fired after last year's memorial. The captain lost his command, and another 29 officers were cited for carrying their guns. As for this year's event, 1,000 cops are expected to attend on May 15th.
Next on UPN 9 News, eBiz News that'll have you seeing green Hollywood superstars who earn
Police say they've broken up a sex slave ring, one that lured 1,200 women into prostitution in Japan. The Mexican women from ages 18 to 30 answered ads promising glamorous jobs in Japan. Police say they were tricked and forced into prostitution. Mexican officials call it an international slavery ring. 2 men linked to Japanese organized crime gangs have been arrested.
Investigators have figured out what was put in that tampered tea last week at a Chicago Walgreens. The drugstore chain says a petroleum-based substance was put in 3 bottles of Lipton iced tea, but the company says it can't comment on what exactly the substance was. Cops say other beverage products may have been tampered with at that same store.
Well, Britain has started a mass slaughter of cattle that could be infected with mad cow disease. Britain plans to destroy up to 800,000 older cattle over the coming year. The goal is to ease fears about mad cow disease and restore consumer confidence in British beef.
An angry Bo Derek tops our eBiz News tonight. Bo's gone ballistic over some kinky demands by the people in charge of a pay-per-view TV show. She claims Warner Vision brass asked her, among other things, to act like an uninhibited nymphomaniac. Derek quit the show and says she'd like to punch them all in the face. Warner Vision is suing Derek for a return of a $250,000 advance.
LL Cool J is a major rap star, and he has his own TV show. But he feels like he missed out on one thing, a college education. He made the comments to a group of high school students in Jackson, Mississippi, and he urged them to value their own education.
There is a payoff for being a successful actor, a big payoff. Pat Collins takes a look at some of the top stars and the top dollars they pull in.
Is any star worth $20 million? Who
pays those outrageous salaries and whose earning power is in trouble. Let's look at the numbers. Tom Hanks gets $20 million a movie. Robin Williams, 15 and up. Jim Carrey aces with $20 million for Cable Guy. Demi Moore teasing at 12 and a half. Hubby Bruce Willis gets more, 16 and a half. Brad Pitt asks $10 million. Sandra Bullock at $11 million is close to Julia Roberts' price tag of $12 million. Eddie Murphy banks $12 million for a movie. Sharon Stone's post-casino value is $6 million. Wesley Snipes gets a $10 million check for a movie. Ditto Oscar winner Whoopi Goldberg. Harrison Ford takes home $20 million. And Tom Cruise is in the $20 million club, too. With star salaries out of control, making movies could become a financial mission impossible.
Unless everybody agrees to keep a cap on these salaries, it's a runaway train, in my opinion.
Movie companies give superstars $20 million because they can be an insurance policy at the box office.
The number of bona fide movie stars has remained pretty much fixed, yet there are more and more movies being made today than ever before.
A quote-unquote superstar in a lousy movie means nothing. It means you've wasted $20 million. Happy birthday.
Compared to Sylvester Stallone's $60 million deal, great actors are a bargain. Pacino, $9 million, De Niro, $6, and Morgan Freeman, 6 and under.
Excuse me?
As a comic actor, Steve Martin at $7 million is underpaid, given his unique talent.
There's no denying that he's something special on film. I would say he is worth what he's making.
I think he should be taking a couple of more risks than he's taken recently. Take those chances. I mean, look at what a Robin Williams has done in his last 4 or 5 pictures.
You do. Fussy, you do. If a movie makes $100 million and up, why shouldn't the star get megabucks? That's the agent's argument. Of course, the agent is making 10% on the deal.
And he'll stop at nothing.
Ultimately, it could put all of us out of business.
I'm Pat Collins, UPN 9 News.
Just ahead, weekend construction that could keep you in first gear. We'll show you the area to steer clear of next.
Plus, homeless. Good evening. Jennifer has the night off. At least 3 people are dead, killed in a plane crash in northwestern New Jersey. Police say the single-engine aircraft went down in a wooded area near Lake Mohawk in Sussex County. The resort area was reportedly crowded with visitors at the time, and some of them say they saw the plane fall from the sky.
It exploded in the air, then as it hit the ground, another explosion, and then the ground just went crazy.
Police say the victims were burned beyond recognition. Efforts are being made to identify them. The cause of that crash has not yet been determined. And 5 Patterson factories are still smoldering tonight. As News 9's Kevin Rosen reports, they are among recent targets of an arsonist.
The fire raced out of control early this morning, spreading through 5 buildings. 2 were occupied by the Empire Marble Company. The others were vacant. 40 people worked at the company and are out of jobs. No one was hurt. This was the 3rd fire in 3 weeks in this part of Patterson, and Mayor Frank Graves says there is no question how all 3 started. Mayor, you think somebody set this? Why?
Oh, we're positive somebody set it. A news delivery man very early this morning saw 3 males run out of this building. And he knew there was a firebug in the area, and he observed them. But they didn't do anything except walk away. 20 minutes later, he came back through the same street, and the building was a raging inferno.
Department of Environmental Protection officials were on hand to make sure flames didn't spread to a chemical storage area nearby. Do you think they're safe at this point?
Oh, certainly, yes. I don't think the fire, the building in between the 2, I don't see them becoming involved at this point.
Less than an hour after this fire started, an apartment house only blocks away caught fire, but was quickly put out. Do you think he is the same person that started the fire across the river at the home?
We're sure it's him. There was a 5-gallon can of gasoline. The people woke up. We were able to get there, salvage the can of gasoline, etc. He is becoming very dangerous.
Elena Makarevich lives in that apartment house. Are you worried that someone might try it again?
Possibly.
And other neighbors can only think that it will happen again. Are you worried that someone is on the loose running around here?
Sure, because I'm worried if it's my property.
Firemen have contained this fire, but they say it could burn for days. Because these buildings may have eventually been torn down and turned into a housing development, Mayor Graves says it may be a blessing in disguise. But this fire could have been a lot more tragic if lives were lost. and the fact still remains that there is a firebug on the loose. In Patterson, Kevin Rosen, News 9.
Patterson police say 4 officers are working on this case, and they are urging residents to be on the lookout for arsonists. And tonight there are calls for a wider investigation into another disastrous fire, the one that raced through the Schomburg Plaza in Harlem last March.
We can't bring the lives back. We can't really soften the pain of those that are left here behind. But what we can certainly do is to make certain that we limit the possibilities of this happening again.
The fire claimed 7 lives, 3 of the victims leaping to their deaths. Congressman Charles Rangel wants both the state and federal governments to join the investigation. The Schomburg was built with federal dollars, but a recent report by a fire department inquiry board found a series of construction problems that helped the fire spread.
When you find a structure like this that has been declared that it was a safe residence, where you find complaints, and the management and the owners and the cities have all inspected that and allowed the people to live here, that's where government comes in.
The potential hazards triggered a renters' strike even before the fire, and tenants say nothing has been done since the tragedy. More than half of the Schomburg's 600 residents have been putting their rent checks into an escrow account.
Because of the fire and this strike, we are not giving them any money until all repairs are completed and are satisfactory to us. Whereas last year, we let them go with it.
The inquiry board found fire dispatchers mishandled the calls from residents. But one city council member is calling on the fire department to release more of its records.
We have received reports from tenants that they began calling at 7 o'clock. The records they released were only from 7:57 when they received the first call. We would like to see the entire record.
The city council will hold a public hearing on the Schomburg fire later tonight. Are pressing their search for the so-called parking lot rapist. A sketch has been released by the suspect or of the suspect in several attacks in Rego Park. He's described as being 20 to 25 years old, 5'7" to 5'10", and weighing 150 to 170 pounds. He has black, close-cropped hair.
In other news tonight, the second verdict is in the Jonathan Levin case. The man accused of helping Corey Arthur kill schoolteacher Jonathan Levin is a free man tonight. Today, a Manhattan jury found Montoon Hart not guilty on all charges related to murdering the Bronx high school teacher. After the acquittal, Hart, who says cops coerced him into making a 13-page confession, stunned the courtroom by talking to Levin's mother. Kathy Hobbs has been following this story. She joins us now with more on this verdict. Kathy.
Kathy, this was a case that received a lot of attention, in part because the victim, Jonathan Levin, was a teacher and the son of a wealthy television executive, and because one of the accused killers, Corey Arthur, was a former student. Arthur was convicted in the case, and tonight a friend of Arthur's, Montoon Hart, who was also on trial for the crime, is a free man, saying he was jailed for a crime he knew nothing about.
It's so happy that he's out.
Raw emotion as the mother of an acquitted murder suspect expresses joy about her son's freedom. After 2 years in jail, a jury acquitted Montoon Hart of murdering a popular Bronx schoolteacher named Jonathan Levin.
Finally, after 2 years, for something I did not do, something I didn't have not a part of, finally, I'm being set free.
Montoon Hart was accused of murder in a case that received national attention, the death of high school teacher Jonathan Levin. Levin, whose father is the chairman of Time Warner, was allegedly tortured and killed in May 1997 for the code to his bank card. In November, Levin's former student Corey Arthur was convicted in the case and is serving a life sentence. From the start, prosecutors claimed both Arthur and Hart committed the murder, but this morning a jury said no, believing Hart's claim he had nothing to do with it. Where were you the night of the murder?
Home.
He admits buying drugs with Arthur earlier that fateful day, but claims he was at his mother's home when the teacher was killed in his Upper West Side apartment, that police forced him to lie. In court this afternoon, an emotional scene when the once accused killer reached out to the victim's mother.
I told Mrs. Levin that I didn't have nothing to do at all with her son's death, and I told her God bless her and her family.
Jailed since his arrest, Hart says he's found God and is a changed man. Tonight, instead of heading back to jail, he's heading home.
I'm gonna go and play with my son and go play some video games and have a bottle of Cristal champagne.
He says he was prepared to face conviction and a long prison term. While he claims he was mistreated by police, he wants to thank jurors and the judge involved in his case. He also wants to make it clear to Jonathan Levin's family that he is sorry for their loss. Kathy, Jim.
Thank you, Kathy. Well, another very important verdict in a New York courtroom today. A Brooklyn jury found several gun manufacturers negligent today in dumping a, quote, toxic waste of handguns onto New York streets. This jury also found their marketing practices contributed to 3 of 7 shootings. Robbie Chavez is live outside the federal courthouse in Brooklyn with more on this. Robbie?
Jim, it was a mixed verdict today, but it was definitely seen as a precedent-setting decision. Although jurors seemed reluctant to blame the gun industry directly and force them to pay any money for the shootings, they did assess a great deal of responsibility. And the message tonight seems to be that the gun industry needs to do more to make sure guns don't end up in the wrong hands.
The verdict is sure to fire off a new attack on the gun industry. After 5 days, the Brooklyn jury found that several manufacturers were indeed liable in 7 New York area shootings. Those suing the powerful gun industry declared victory.
The plaintiffs, I think, had an amazing victory here today. The jury found 15 of the 25 defendants negligent in the way they distributed and marketed their handguns, and that is a major victory. It has never happened before that this case has even been heard, and for us to have a jury finding like this is an amazing feat, and we are very happy.
It is, though, a mixed verdict. While jurors seem to buy the argument that manufacturers were responsible for flooding gun-friendly states, knowing all the while that the weapons could make their way to states with strict gun laws, the jurors awarded very little money, only $3.9 million to one surviving victim. Even so, family members say they weren't looking for the money.
We wanted to have a verdict of negligence. We think that this starts a new phase in how America will begin to look at guns and the proliferation of guns in our communities. So we're very pleased. We thank God for this verdict.
Obviously, this jury said that is not enough. If you comply with the laws and your guns are still getting to the hands of criminals in this state, and your guns are being used to kill our children and wound our children, that is not enough. You've got to do more. You've got to police yourselves.
The verdict comes after a 5-year fight, a verdict that came after much turmoil among the jury, even deadlocking at times. Attorneys for gun manufacturers say it sets no precedent, and for them, it will be business as usual.
This verdict here reflects the fact that the kinds of issues being asserted here are not properly ones to be submitted to a jury, but rather should be submitted to a legislature that can consider all the issues fully and then reach the appropriate compromises.
There is no precedent here. There is none. I think what we have learned, and I think both sides have learned this, it's something that the defense has been saying for 4.5 years. This does not belong in a court of law.
It's a position that one gun law expert expects to backfire, going as far to say that this verdict is the beginning of the end of the gun industry as we now know it.
I think for the gun industry to hear a jury say that 15 gun companies are careless in the way they sell a very dangerous product and then say they're not going to make any changes is shameful. And I think they will make changes. If they don't do it as a result of this lawsuit, they'll do it as a result of the next lawsuit, which will have bigger dollars.
Now, the gun industry plans to appeal this verdict. Even so, this was seen as a test case for other lawsuits across the country. We're live in Brooklyn tonight. I'm Robbie Chavez for the WB11 News at 10. Kaidi and Jim, back to you.
All right, Robbie, thanks very much. Still to come tonight, everyone, the eve of history. The countdown to the impeachment vote is winding down.
And if at first you don't succeed, an explosive scene as the Coast Guard makes a second attempt to burn up a tanker loaded with oil.
You go into
From Tinky Winky to Queen Latifah, she has risen from the inner city to the bright lights of Hollywood. And unlike many of her peers, she has crossed the lines of music, television, and film with so much success. New Jersey correspondent Pamela Chan caught up with the highly talented Queen Latifah today as she spread a little of her good fortune.
Older cats say I'm newfangled. From records to motion pictures, I'm still here flowing. From poor to richer, I'm still Dana Owens.
Rap star and actress Queen Latifah, whose real name is Dana Owens, was on stage today at the New Jersey Performing Arts Center, not to entertain, but to enlighten. She held the rapt attention of almost 2,000 high school students from the greater Newark area with her words of inspiration.
Visualize it in your mind. Visualize yourself being what it is you want to be. And then do the things that you got to do to get to that. And know in your heart You can do it. You just gotta believe that you can.
Queen Latifah was born and raised in the Newark area and quickly rose to stardom 10 years ago at the age of 18. First as a rap artist, then she made the jump to TV and movies. Over and over, she told her young admirers they too can fulfill their dreams.
Who would have thought that a girl from Newark would have got her own TV show, is coming out with her own talk show, had gold albums, you know, owns her own management company, owns her own record label.
Among Queen Latifah's role models, she cites her mother, who was on hand for the celebration as part of NJ PAC's Jubilation Choir.
We are marching in the light of God.
The spirit of the day certainly transcended the audience.
I learned today that, you know, you can be successful even though you're black, you're white, or anything. And you should follow your dreams even though, like, everything's against you.
To stay in school, be a positive, always believe in myself, you know, keep my faith up, keep my head up.
But backstage, the superstar admitted she worries about these kids' futures.
What scares me the most is this mentality that you're gonna live a short life. That, you know, I mean, growing up here, you tend to see a lot of things you don't need to see at an early age, and it kind of can desensitize you, and it makes your mortality really real. My hope is that a lot of, you know, these kids out here will have dreams for tomorrow.
Queen Latifah's next big project is her own talk show, which is set to debut this fall. She says she's hoping to use profits from the show to give back to her hometown community. In Newark, New Jersey, I'm Pamela Chan for the WB11 News at 10.
As artistic director of the burgeoning Jazz at Lincoln Center program, Wynton Marsalis is able to both create and recreate jazz history. And in the coming months, Marsalis and his colleagues will be bringing back to life the music of the man some call the greatest American composer and musical influence of the 20th century, Duke Ellington. And for Wynton Marsalis, this is a labor of love. Wynton Marsalis talking about Duke Ellington is a form of music in itself.
His music is hip. So it's always swinging. It makes you, hip is the only word I really can use because it is just so deep in the pocket and it has such belief in a groove that you just, when you start playing it, you come around to it.
Belief in a groove, a good way to describe how both Duke Ellington and Wynton Marsalis make music. Now, on the 100th anniversary of Ellington's birth and a quarter century after his death, this jazz giant's work is being celebrated all year under the direction of the leading jazz figure of our time, trumpeter Wynton Marsalis. He's taking his Lincoln Center Jazz Orchestra around the world to honor the Duke and his immeasurable contributions to American music.
He showed us how to combine the sound of the blues with the sophistication of the American popular song. That's in songs like Mood Indigo and Sophisticated Lady. He invented a whole system of harmony based on the dissonances of the blues, which is like this kind of, he takes something like this in the blues, like a blues monk. He'd have voicings where he would take this interval and spread it out, and it would sound like, then he'd go to the consonant. So it just, people, when they first heard that sound, they'd be like, oh, what is that the Duke is doing?
If that sounds like sheer delight, it is. Wynton Marsalis loves music madly, and whether it's as a band leader, educator, Pulitzer Prize-winning composer, or a Grammy-winning classical and jazz player, he is the driving force in his chosen art. But you won't hear that from him. He plays, he says, because there's nothing that's more fun. This story, he told me, describes it best.
One day we had finished a gig and we went to a reception or something, and we came back from the reception and our horns were in the backstage area. Now it's like 12:30 or something at night. So we were talking about Thelonious Monk, and we pulled our horns out and we started playing Epistrophe. So we're in this dressing room and we just start playing boo-doo-dee, doo-doo, just me and him. We start playing, then all of a sudden different cats from the band come in. And then they got their horns out too.
No doubt, Duke Ellington, had he been around, would have been there as well. And for the next year, he'll be around.
Just listen to the music. It's all there. It's in the music.
That's Wynton Marsalis' philosophy of life. It's all in the music. Time prevents me from listing the incredible number of activities coming up in association with Jazz at Lincoln Center, Duke Ellington events. Call Jazz at Lincoln Center and they'll send you everything you need to know.